What's happening? All right. Sign, tablet, coffee's almost ready. Ow! I just dripped hot coffee on my foot. I did not like it. All right. It's time. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. My name's Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. All right. Wow. Cool. So, yeah, I should do that. I just realized something that I'm going to do a little differently than I was planning on. So I'm not silly about it. But it's completely irrelevant to what's going on here right now. I hope everyone had a wonderful Monday. I once again had a struggle of a Monday. I wish I had a better understanding of why. Good morning, Casper. I wish I had a better understanding of why Mondays just don't work for me. I ended up out and about, had a meeting, and had more work I had to do. And just the idea of coming back here and doing it, I just couldn't wrap my brain around it. So, if any of you follow me personally on Instagram, you saw that I posted this amazing quesadilla. I stopped at a local Mexican place. Good. I'm glad that you are able to watch. And sat down and worked through. I'm not even going to say what we're doing, but a couple of friends who own schools, we kicked around the idea of this collaboration, and so I was able to get that going for each of them and share it with them. It involves a little bit of graphic work and such, but it's been sitting on my plate for like 3 weeks. I felt like a jerk letting it sit that long, but now it's up, and they like it. And we'll see how it goes. If it goes well, it's something that we will offer to more people. We'll just leave it like that. Yeah. So, what else? What else is going on? Had a good meeting. Oh, it's funny. The place that I stopped to eat yesterday is right next to a big movie theater, actually, my favorite theater in the state. And this Mexican joint was doing open mic night. And as I'm going in to clear my tray, and because I sat outside, I was the only one who sat outside because it was hot, but it was beautiful. Who's coming in was Sifu Scott Grainer, who's been on the show and has taught at training day, and just a nice guy and a good friend. So he was there. He's been working on his music. So I didn't stay. I thought about staying, but I did need to get home to get some things done here. But it was great to see him. It's one of the nice things about your martial arts friends is you don't always know when you're going to see them, because they're real people and they're out and about in the world. So what's today? Today is a little bit of a consolidated day because Thursday, of course, is a holiday, which changes some things. There are some family obligations. And then tomorrow I am on the road. I have a meeting in Massachusetts with another past guest of the show, as well as someone else. I'm not going to talk about why or what, unfortunately. There may come a point where that becomes public information, but we're not going to say anything about it, other than it requires me driving the majority of the day. So I have to move all of my Wednesday things to today, which means I'm going to really have to be on the ball to get it done. So keep your fingers crossed for me that happens. And I feel like this is the first cup of the Costa Rican coffee that actually tasted like it should. I don't know what I did different. I don't really do that much different with coffee, but this is particularly good today. Okay. So we had a couple questions come in, 3 questions in fact. And if you would like to ask some questions for me to answer on the next episode of First Cup, go ahead, drop those below. If you're listening later in audio, you can email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. All right. These 3 questions come from the same person, and they're around the idea of recovery. What key factors contribute to an effective recovery after a martial arts class or workout? Okay, key factors for recovery. All right. Things that I'm aware of. Proper hydration. Sleep. Proper food. And here's one that is probably going to be the kicker. So when your body adapts in any way, it is based on some kind of inflammatory signal, some kind of inflammation. So let's say we'll take the example of weight training because it's a little bit simpler to understand. Let's say you go to the gym, you do a bunch of bicep curls, and you come back and your biceps are sore. Maybe you even do it too hard, go too far, and they hurt. Your arms are going to be swollen, inflamed. Your body has taken on some fluid to try and deal with the repair process there. And that is part of the growth process, part of the adaptation process. Now, if you do what a lot of people do when they come out of martial arts and start taking anti-inflammatories, ibuprofen, Advil is ibuprofen, aspirin, you are reducing the adaptive effect of that workout. So, if you come out of martial arts class and you feel sore, and the first thing you do every time you come home is start popping vitamin I, you are not getting as much out of your workout as you could. Now, if you are hurt and in pain, yeah, I'm not going to tell you not to take it, but you are reducing the adaptive effects of that workout by reducing your inflammation. Inflammation is part of the natural recovery and repair process, and it's to the point where I won't even do certain foods or supplements. For example, CBD is anti-inflammatory. I will not use any of my CBD-based products right after a workout. In fact, I try to wait until the other side of sleep. I wake up the next morning because I want to make sure I get as much out of that workout as possible. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Sleep, good food. Yeah. Oh, and this whole thing that you have to eat right away afterwards, that's a myth. That was a myth that was perpetuated by supplement companies. So, I'll usually wait a few hours before I eat. Of course, if I get out of class late, get home, sometimes I don't get home from Taekwondo until 9. I will usually have a small meal right away and then go to bed. Of the above mentioned factors, which can be controlled on the individual level? I think all of them. You don't always know how much of an impact you're having because it's not something that we're measuring. We can't measure inflammation. We can't measure any of that, at least not with at-home technology. But you can get a sense. You can get an idea going in. So if you want to make sure that you're hydrated for proper recovery, do that at the beginning of the day. Make sure you are adequately hydrated before you train. It takes, from what I've read, somewhere 15, 20, 30 minutes for water, once you've drank it, to actually make it into your cells. What kind of restrictions or lack is happening if you are dehydrated at some point in that process. There's all kinds of great science showing how important water is, even on training, on brain health, on all of that. And you might as well stay hydrated. There's no reason not to. Water, unless you live somewhere where your water is terrible, is free, virtually free. And it's about as fundamental as you get in your health. I think it's the only thing that I would prioritize over the quality of the water is quality of sleep. So, yeah, you can control all of them. And our last question about recovery today. These are great questions. I love answering this stuff. How would all of this be different for a person with a physically active job versus someone with a sedentary job? Excellent question. And it depends on what kind of active job. So there are different kinds of active job. When I used to work in retail, I did a lot of walking around the store. But I have friends who work in construction. That's a very different kind of active. You know, to walk across 3 or 4 aisles to ask someone if they need help is very different from throwing an 80-pound bundle of shingles on your shoulder and climbing a ladder. In the first example, you don't tend to leave that job terribly sore. You might be a little tired if it's something that you've not been doing for long. But you could probably go from that sort of light activity into your training at any point. But most people I know who work construction have been working construction for years, and there's still a high physical load on the body as they get through that job. You know, they get through a 8-10 hour day, and most of them have no desire to do anything physical. Now, I've known people who are exceptions to that rule, but I think that there's something instinctual in their desire to not do more physical activity because their body is trying to recover. So what would my recommendations be between the two? So this is a martial arts show. Let's take it within the context of martial arts. Let's say you are someone who has a highly demanding, highly physically demanding job, like construction, but you also train or you want to train martial arts. Okay. So what are the things that you've got to do? You've got to get good sleep. I know you're not going to get a nap in the middle of the workday. Even if you have the time, the rest of the crew's probably going to mock you for it. So that means that you're probably going to bed really early, at least several days a week. Maybe you're not going to do it every day because that might mean that you miss your training. But if you're getting up at 4:30 in the morning, you might be going to bed at 7:30 or 8 at night. And some people might look at that and say that's too early. Well, it depends on what your goals are. There are days that I go to bed at 8 o'clock because it's what my body needs. One of the things that's happened as I've aged is I'm willing to listen to my body much more than I ever was. In order to fall asleep that early, you might need things like earplugs or an eye mask, blackout curtains, things like that. So worrying about the amount of sleep, the quality of your sleep, water through the day is huge because quite often, if you're working construction, you're outside, you're getting exposed to the elements, you are sweating, you're losing a lot of water. You've got to stay up on the water. It's paramount. To the point where if you came home, if there was a day, let's say I got out of work at 4 o'clock, get home at 5, and I'm going to bed at 8. I would drink a ton of water right away. Probably 2 to 4 glasses. That gives it time to pass through, so it's not going to interrupt my sleep. Okay. And then you're eating a lot of good food. Now, I mentioned in responding to the first question about inflammation, and yes, there are foods that are anti-inflammatory, and you kind of want to avoid those on a regular basis if you are trying to work with the adaptive signal coming from your training. But you don't want to eat foods that are going to add to that. There are inflammatory foods, and they're different for everybody. One of the major ones for me is peanut butter. How do I know? The moment I have a spoonful of peanut butter, my gut swells up. As soon as peanut butter gets in my body, I probably have a mild peanut allergy. It's not so strong that it affects me in any other way, but I know that my body doesn't do well with that. To me, that's an inflammatory food. For a lot of people, dairy is, it's something they can have, but it can be inflammatory. So I would be prioritizing those good foods, vegetables, fruit, high quality meat, things like that, as often as possible, especially on the job site, things like that. You don't have a lot of time to work with these things. So you've got to make sure that they're a high priority. And then, of course, on the weekends, maybe you're catching up on sleep. Maybe you're going for walks. Maybe you are getting massage, things like that to deal with that. So I hope that answers those questions. I love answering questions. It makes my day. It makes the show go easier. And let's be honest, it's getting me better at improvisation. I've had times in the last year, because we've been doing this show for a year, I've had times in the last year where I've had to stand up and speak, and I'm so much more confident in speaking off the cuff because I've had this opportunity to talk to all of you for hours and hours and hours without any rehearsal. I don't even look at these questions anymore beforehand. I just go, and I feel pretty good about what comes out of it. So I got a sneeze coming. Hold on. Excuse me. All right. Now, don't forget, I want your questions. Drop them below. Bing. If you have not already subscribed to this show, what are you waiting for? Subscribe and turn on notifications because we do this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. You can catch it later at firstcupwithjeremy.com or in your podcast app. Now, for your homework. Okay. I don't want you to change anything in what you eat today. Whatever you were planning on eating or want to eat, go ahead, eat it. I just want you to be aware of how you feel. I want you to be aware of how you feel before, during, and after. And then just make the judgment call. Do I think that this was the right food for this time? And did I eat the right amount? That's it. The more you can build some awareness around those questions, the more you're going to be able to understand your body and how food impacts your body. And then once you understand, you can make the right choices. There's nothing wrong with choosing to eat things that you shouldn't, that aren't good for you, etc. Once in a while, I choose to eat ice cream. I know ice cream isn't a good food for me, but I enjoy it. And there's value in that for me. So that's all. I will see you back here tomorrow. Take care. Have a great day. Peace.